And what do the Rams do with Matthew Stafford making his first career divisional playoff start? Put Tom Brady, seeking his 10th consecutive divisional playoff win, right behind the 8 ball by hitting them with a barrage of sacks and points. Matthew Stafford came out slinging, folks. A 20-3 lead as Brady got the ball back right before the 2-minute warning. And they needed points because the Rams were getting the ball to start the second half. They had to have points, and the Rams picked him off. Had an opportunity to hit him with a knockout blow. And Cam Akers fumbles it inside the 5. No points before the end of the first half. And that was just setting up the second half for the old axiom that we have said over and over again. Do not give Tom Brady chances ever. Just ask the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Ever.
Because sure enough, it was a 27-3 lead. Not 28-3. 27-3 lead that the Rams had. And then kept making mistakes. Cooper Kupp, of all people, fumbles it. Brady cashes it in to make it 27-13. Then they go 3 and out, the Rams. Brady gets the ball back, but in comes Von Miller to save the day. Sack, fumble. Yes, here come the Rams. What will they do to cash it in? Just snap it over Stafford's head. Give the ball back to Brady, who, however, turns it over on downs not once, but twice. And the Rams have the Bucs exactly where they wanted. Would have signed for it. Up 14 with 5 minutes to go. Of course you're going to sign for that. Especially when you've got your Pro Bowl kicker teed up for a 47-yarder to make it a 3-score game, and he hits it short? Short on a 47-yarder? Like, what is this, 1971? How does that happen? Well, Brady gets the ball back, and of all people, finds Mike Evans over, of all people, Jalen Ramsey, 55-yarder, 1-score game. But the Rams, all they got to do is just run it out, because in the previous possession, they made the Bucs burn all their timeouts, and Cam Akers fumbles again. How does that happen? But the defense forces Brady into another 4th down. And is this the last play of the game for Brady? Last play of the season for Brady? Last play of the career for Brady? He hands it off to Leonard Fournette, who scores on 4th and 1 to tie the game.
Unbelievable.
Rams are reeling. 27-3 lead. Poof, gone. First play for Stafford. You're thinking, okay, here he comes now. He's going to fumble it. He's going to throw a pick, and the ball's on the ground. But it's ruled not a fumble. Rams still got the ball. They recovered it anyway. And that's when Stafford finds Cooper Kupp, not once but twice, on a 20-yarder and then a 44-yarder. How does Kupp get so wide open? He's only the Triple Crown winner in receiving.
Right? Like, what are we doing?
But he catches it. Stafford makes the throws when the game's on the line. When the pressure's on, he makes the throws. And the Rams move on to the NFC Championship game, which they can host now against the 49ers to try and host the Super Bowl. And Matthew Stafford, who comes into the season with that reputation of not being a big game player, now in his first 2 career starts in the playoffs for the Rams, has 2 career postseason games with 300 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. The only other human being in the history of the postseason who says that they have that in the same postseason is Patrick Mahomes.
I know.
Speaking of, as soon as this game ended, I honestly needed a smoke, and I don't smoke.
I know.
And right away.
It was 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes to gather ourselves
right away
before Bills Chiefs started.
And it was the epic we were hoping it would be. Hyping it up between 2 of the youngest, studliest quarterbacks we've seen. Is this, we were asking before the game, the beginning of a new long-standing rivalry? And we got the emphatic answer by the end of the night. Absolutely it is.
Yes.
The game ends 42-36. Folks, it was 23-21 going into the fourth quarter. That's
Amazing.
How?
the truth. And then, game on the line. Buffalo Bills are down 9, right? They got to get points out of the drive. And Josh Allen's first throw is to Gabriel Davis up top for 75 yards, which tied Aaron Jones's grab at the end of the second half of the second game of the weekend for the longest pass play of the weekend. And that's just the way things got started. Chiefs settle for a field goal after an odd third down call inside the 10-yard line where they took Mahomes away and had a backup tight end flip it out to Jerick McKinnon on an option play. And that leaves the door open for Josh Allen, and he walks through it with a 17-play, 75-yard drive on which he converted 3 third downs, 2 fourth downs, and a 2-pointer to Stephon Diggs that he extended for like 10 seconds after he found Gabriel Davis on a 27-yarder to go up by 3, but he left a minute 54 on the clock for Mahomes, who on 3rd and 10, with the game on the line, finds Kelsey for 11, and then 2 snaps later, the cheetah is loose, and he's throwing up the deuces as he hits the red zone.
Peace.
Thank God this wasn't called taunting, folks. All right?
Honestly, I'm shocked it wasn't.
Because that's all we'd be talking about today, not about the overtime rules. But Hill scored a little too fast, left a minute 2 on the clock for Allen, who 2 snaps later found Davis for 28, then 12, 3 snap later, Davis for 19, touchdown. Bills back up by 3. But he left 13 seconds left on the clock, and it's the 13 seconds in Bills playoff history that will be, with the ultimate of respect, placed next to the Music City Miracle and Scott Norwood's field goal. They don't squib it. You have to figure the amount of yards that you'd be giving Mahomes to work from in terms of field position. You have to give up those yards if it means just a few more seconds off the clock. And then of all people that you have to cover, it's Tyreek Hill and it's Travis Kelce. And those are the 2 guys that Mahomes found for 19 and 25 yards, respectively, to set up the butt kicker for the remarkable attempt to tie it with no time left on the clock in regulation, and they did. They had the good fortune of winning the opening coin toss with both defenses gassed, and we'll talk about the whole playoff stuff in terms of overtime rules later on. But 8 plays later, Travis Kelce with a touchdown, and we saw the first game in NFL playoff history with not 1, not 2, but 3 go-ahead touchdowns in the final 2 minutes of regulation to wrap up the first weekend in the history of the NFL in which all 4 divisional round games were won with no time remaining in regulation or in overtime. And in terms of those 4 such finishes, if you took those finishes of games won with no time remaining in regulation or in overtime and just placed it over an entire postseason, over every postseason in the history of the NFL, these 4 are the most such finishes in an entire postseason in NFL history. The 4 on one weekend alone, decided by a combined total of 15 points, an average margin of victory of 3.8, lowest average margin of victory in NFL playoff history in a round with at least 4 games. And I've never seen a round of football like this, where the winners, any of them can win the Super Bowl, and the losers, any of them could easily fire somebody from a job, and it would make sense.
You're dead on.
I've never seen anything like it.
Dead on.
One last note. The winners. One had a quarterback sacked 9 times. One didn't score an offensive touchdown, the Niners. One lost 4 fumbles, the Rams. And one allowed a go-ahead score with 13 seconds left on the clock. What a weekend. What a weekend. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.